Patch notes. Patch notes. What's going on, guys? It's your boy. Bring you another video real quick, man. Before we even get started, man, y'all just go ahead and hit that like for your boy. Go ahead and sub to your boy. Leave a comment down below. How you feeling about the PTR, man, and the content that we got coming for patch 9.1. As everyone knows, WoW was stale. We're just in stale water right now. So the only thing to do is either play Classic, play the PTR, or drown yourself in your sorrows on live, which is what I'm doing too. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and get straight to these patch notes from yesterday. And as you can tell going through, we do have a good bit of notes, but it's okay. We're just going to go over the more important stuff. We're going to go over the things that you guys want to see in here, right? So, class changes right now. PTR notes for Death Knight, just for Blood Spec, damage of all spells and abilities increased by 6%. Really don't think that's going to be doing anything major to make Blood DK viable or want to be played. I mean, they still have no mobility. They're still, their defensives are non-relevant, because they really don't have any. So I don't think this does anything for Blood DKs or make anybody want to play Blood DK. But I guess we had to see. Demon Hunters. The buffs. They have the buffs. Demon's Bite damage increased by 15%. Demon's Blades, which is the talent, damage is increased by 15%. Chaos Strike and Annihilation damage has been increased by 15%. And then Unbound Chaos talent now increases the damage of your next Fell Rush by 500%, which was 600%. So 15% base buff to their toolkit basically across the board. I think it's pretty good for Havoc, man. Havoc is kind of like middle of the pack too, for what I've been seeing, rating with a Havoc DH and things like that. So, and they're not really getting represented like that unless you're, of course, playing Vengeance. So I think this buff is probably going to be pretty good for them, especially with Demon Bite and Chaos Strike and things like that. Them nerfing basically the Fell Rush build by 100%, I think it's okay. I don't think it's really going to affect them too much, especially with the buffs that they're getting baseline by the 15% of Demon's Bite, Demon Blades, etc. Unnatural Malice now increases the hunt's damage of a time effect. It was increased initially damage to the primary target. So it increases the dot, which is, it is what it is. The initial damage of the hit is already pretty big. So I think that it's good that they are buffing the dot versus like the initial damage that it is. Because especially in PvP, it's probably something that they're worried about in PvP, man. You can get one shot by the hunt real quick. So that's pretty good. Ballast Druid. New Moon talent now has a 20-second recharge with 25%. New Moon and Half Moon damage increased by 33%. And then the Solstice talent now causes shooting stars to fall 250% more often, was 300%. Stellar Drift talent has been redesigned. Starfall damage increased by 50% and allows you to cast while moving while Starfall is active, but has a 12-second cooldown, was 15 seconds. So I think here, with a lot of these things, it's just more balancing that's going on right now. Boomings aren't really doing like crazy damage right now, but I think they did more of this more so for Convoke, because Convoke was doing a lot of damage. So I think that's why they're trying to adjust some of these numbers here and there, especially like the New Moon and Half Moon damage. I think they're buffing those mainly just on that tier, so those things could compete. But we'll see how it goes. I really haven't played a lot of balance, so any balance druids out there that are watching this video, man, let me know how this will affect your class. Now, survival hunters, man. I love survival, but it's just, I don't know what it's missing. I think for me, it's the AoE part of survival, and it just makes it so, the AoE is so bad outside of bombs. So, Hunter Survival, Rapid Strike damage increased by 15%, Kill Command damage increased by 15%, Mongoose Bite talent damage increased by 15%, and Flaking Strike damage increased by 15%. So They're basically buffing their main abilities for survival. Will I think this makes survival compete? I don't know. I'd have to do some testing, and I need to level my hunter on live anyway. That's probably something I should really do. But you know, survival getting some buffs. Hopefully these buffs are good enough to make people want to play hunter. I don't really think they bring enough to the table for a melee slot to warrant playing survival. I mean, if you want a hunter, you're probably going to bring a BM hunter, or you're going to bring marksman. Range is king right now, so I think if you want to fill that hunter spot, you would definitely go ahead with beast mastery or marksman. But you never know. I mean, there's always room, you know, to play what you want. So hopefully maybe survival might end up doing good in keys, things like that. I don't know. I think they just be another run-of-the-mill melee slot field, but doesn't really bring anything big to the table. Really don't care about the pets, things like that. It is what it is. Fire Mage got some nerfs. Good. Flame strike damage reduced by 10%. Flame patch talent damage reduced by 10%. The kindling cooldown reduction for combustion reduced to 1 second was 1.5. And Infernal Cascade, which is a conduit fire damage bonus, reduced by 20%. Well, this is good because fire mages are popping off and they're going crazy. So for them to get nerfed, to get touched, even just a little, is already good. Cool. That's all I need to say on that. So fire mages, man, get ready to play some Frost. Maybe even some Arcane. Maybe. I don't know. Arcane is pretty bad. So be ready for it. Pally's Blessing of Winter from Blessing of the Seasons, which is a knife ability that can now be applied to multiple targets simultaneously. Don't know what this ability does, but maybe it's something that needed to get adjusted, and Blizzard adjusted it. So hopefully something that's a benefit. All right, so for Holy, Flash of Light increased by 20%, which is good. You always want your, you want your quick heal to heal for a little bit in these, oh shit cases, even though when the Pallies really need to actually cast, right? Really. Infusion Light consumed by Holy Light now causes Holy Light to generate 1 holy power, was 30% additional healing, which I think is pretty good. Getting an infusion to get a holy power to Word of Glory, things like that. I think that's okay. I don't think that's too bad. Just because Holy Powers don't really cast like that anyway. So I don't think that's bad. Damage all abilities reduced by 8%. I think they are doing that because of a Venthyr. Because if you're a Venthyr Pally, you wings, you drop Ashen Hollow, and then you just go ham. Like, damage is absurd. Been seeing videos of Holy Pallies on boss fights and keys just doing absurd amount of damage. So I think that's why they went ahead and damage all abilities reduced by 8%. I think that's good. And of course, right up under Ashen Hollow, damage reduced by an additional 10%. So yeah, they definitely don't want healers out here competing with DPS or beating them in fights when it comes to damage. So I think that's a good thing that they did. Hammer Wrap damage reduced by additional 10%. Judgment damage reduced by additional 10%. Crusader Strike mana cost increased to 11% was 9. Crusader's Might talent reduced the cooldown of Holy Shock by 1 second was 1.5. And then fixed the issue that increases the damage of Hollow Decrement for Holy Pallies. So with all these abilities that they touched, Holy Wrath, Judgment, Crusader Strike, I think they did that because Pallies were doing a little bit too much damage inside of DPS windows if they time it right. Ashen Hollow, wings, things like that. So I think that's why they touch these main abilities, especially if you wings and then you pop, you can hit Hammer Wrath and things like that. Nerfing Judgment because Judgment still hit hard for Holy, which is you shouldn't be a healer unless you're disc. And I still don't think disc damage was competing with Holy Pallies, because on burst phase, when you really need to push some damage, Holy Pally can bring all of it and keep the group alive. So I think good job to Blizz on noticing that and adjusting that. Priest. Clear Mind Conduit infections are reduced by 25%. That affects Holy and Disc, which kind of sucks. For the Disc Priest, Spirit Shell talent cooldown increased to 90 seconds was 60 seconds. I see why they did that, because even with the nerf that they did, Spirit Shell was a healing for a lot. I know this hands down. Doing hungering, and one of my buddies, he plays disc. I was playing holy, and Spirit Shell, basically having Spirit Shell almost align for every consume was pretty absurd. Things get pretty crazy. So I think the increase to the cooldown is good. I'm glad they didn't touch how much it absorbs. So that's a good job of that. Still makes this viable. Holy Priest, Similar Hope has been redesigned. So bolster the morale of the party array members within 40 yards. They each recover 60 seconds of cooldown on a major defensive ability, and they regain 18% of their missing mana over 5 seconds. Was 12. So 6% buff to your mana regen is great. Because some of these fights, man, you go quick. So this is good. I think groups now, with this alone, are going to start bringing Holy Priest. I mean, that's going to bring up some major defensives. Like for Hunter, it's going to bring up Shell. Pallies, I guess it just depends. It could bring up Bob. You could bring up Bubble. So a lot of these classes with these long cooldown defensives, this is going to be big. And this is going to be big for healers as well, for the 18% regen of mana. So good job on that. I don't know where that's going to put Holy as a whole, because their output is crazy, but they still don't really bring anything special to the group, right? There's nothing major that they bring to the group. But hopefully with this symbol piece, the symbol of hope redesign, it's probably be good. We'll just have to see how it goes. Shadow Word Pain damage increased by 25%. Break Touch increased by 25%, and then Devouring Plague damage reduced by 18%. So I see where they're trying to balance this out. They want to increase your 2 dots, but Devouring Plague was doing a lot of damage a lot of times, and I can attest to that because I played Shadow as well for progression. I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to make Shadow Priest bad. It might be a slight nerf, but I don't think it's going to be anything too much. And then you got to kind of look at it over the long haul of a fight. You know, increasing the damage of your 2 major dots that you have up at all times, I think is going to pan out in longer fights, that this buff for those 2 abilities will be better. Destiny Echoes now grants 20% increased Void Bolt damage. Was 25%, so they got a 15% nerf on Void Bolt, which kind of sucks. Shadow Word Flame Prism, which is a rune carbon power. Shadow Flame Rift damage reduced by 16%. So this is the legendary, and some priests are using it. I know I was using it for a little while. It is what it is. And then Talbodar's Stratagem Mind Blast damage increase reduced by 8%. So they're nerfing legendaries and then buffing like your baseline abilities, which is, I mean, it's okay. It's not bad. I still think Shadow Priest is still going to do very well. Now we're down to the rogues. The shield from Cloaked in Shadows Conduit now lasts 50% longer. It lasts for 4 seconds. Previously had no duration, and no longer decays while the rogue is out of stealth. So I think that's just going to be good as a defensive alone. This is good. Faint duration increased to 6 seconds. What's 5 seconds? Okay, 1 second increase. You know, I guess that's cool. Now Sub has been looking. Sub has just gotten pushed back to nothing. It's not really good in PvP. It definitely gets no love in PvE. If you're raiding, Assassination Rogue is the way to go, hands down, every time, all the time. Outlaw Rogue is where you're going to be basically going if you're playing Rogue for M+. So Sub is getting no love, but we'll see with these buffs. Shuriken Storm rank 2 now also increased Shuriken Storm's chance to critically strike by 15%. Black Powder's damage per combo point increased by 33%. And then Black Powder rank 2 now causes targets with a fire weakness to suffer an additional 40% damage to Shadow. What's 50%, which is a 10% nerf. Shadow Techniques now triggers more frequently, which we kind of need numbers on that, I guess, per minute. How many Shadow Techniques can trigger? I guess someone out there that plays Sub should probably do some testing on that. If you do, comment below, let me know how that went. Backstab damage increased by 20%, and then Gloomblade which is the talent damage increased by 20%. So it seemed like they did touch a few abilities that they feel like were lacking for sub, especially backstab damage increased by 20%. And then buffing, sure, you can storm, giving a higher crit chance, which is cool. I think a lot of times, especially with sub and things like that, and even rogue in general, outside of outlaw, their AoE damage is pretty poor, which I understand. They're single target monsters, so you don't want them to be able to single target everything down to the ground, and then at the same time, when it comes to AoE, be able to wreck shop too, unless you're playing like Fire Mage. Then you can do what you want to do. Now, sliding down to Warlock, man. I haven't scrolled this far down. I haven't really even looked at the notes or done any testing, but I watch a lot of people that pay attention to the PTR and put videos out. I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that Demo can get some type of love, because Demo is shit. It's terrible right now. No one wants to play Demo. Well, I want to play Demo, but in the current state that it's in, it's terrible. Just terrible. But anyway, Warlock Dark Pact additional absorb shield has been increased by 316%. So they're trying to make Warlocks a little tankier. Cool. No, I have no problem with it. It is what it is. How's that going to affect PvP? Probably a lot, but we'll see. Affliction and Malefic Rapture damage reduced by 18%. Agony damage increased by 20%. Corruption damage increased by 15%. City corruption damage increased by 25%. So got some buffs in there. So I see they nerfed Malefic Rapture, which is okay, because when you're full on soul shards and you dump Malefic Raptures now, Malefic Rapture does so much damage, it is absurd. Imagine being a dot class and your dots are ticking, you're doing your thing, and then you're full capped on soul shards, and then you just dump them all. The damage was absurd. So I think them touching this is good. Hopefully the reduction of the 18% isn't too much and then just makes Affliction drop completely off. Hopefully this is just good enough to make them still good for some fights, but then you have other options of the Warlock spec that you would want to play. Buffing the dots is fine. It is what it is. Dark Claw is no longer a talent and now learned baseline at 58. Okay, that's cool. Shadow Embrace no longer learned at 58 and is now a talent option on the 45 row. So they basically swapped these two. Shadow Embrace now lasts 16 seconds was 12, so they got a little buff to the duration. Haunt talent and Shadow Embrace talent now also increase the damage of pets and guardians. So your pets will be putting out a little bit of damage too. New Conduit, Withering Bolt. Shadow Bolt deals 20% or Drain Soul deals 10% more damage per damage over time effect active on your target. Focus Malignancy. Effectiveness is reduced by 53%. I don't know what this is, but it's a conduit. I'll have to check it out. Cold Embrace conduit has now been removed. Sarkalash's Dark Strike, which is legendary, has been redesigned. Corruption damage is increased by 25%, was 15. And each time corruption deals damage, it extends the duration of all your curses active on the target by 2 seconds. Was corrupted target's movement speed slowed by 50%, which I think is okay. Demo, from the Shadows talent, now also increases your pet's Shadow Flame damage. Blizz, let me holler at y'all for a second. What the fuck is this? What is this? From the Shadows talent, now increases your pet's Shadow Flame damage. Who cares? We need a whole revamp. We need a whole reboot. What's going on here? I'm not liking this. This is all we get? Whack, yo. Whack. Destro. Yo, I'm mad now. I'm tilted. Destro, Chaos Bolt damage increased by 10%. Eradication talent now also increased the damage of pets and guardians. So they're buffing pets and guardians for Affliction Warlock. What? For Warlock specs in general. Cool. But this demo, look at this. From the Shadows talent, that also increases your pet's Shadow Flame damage. I'm stuck on this right now because Demo is probably one of my favorite specs. Going back to like Legion, like Demo was the spec for me. And then of course Demon Hunters came along, basically toward Demon Warlocks apart, took away the demon form, all that whack stuff. And they just aren't getting any love. It's terrible, man. Arms Warrior, Mortal Strike damage increased by 10%, deep wounds increased by 10%, overpowered damage increased by 10%, execute damage increased by 10%. This does not apply to Condemn, which is good, because Arms Warriors and Condemn in PvP are destroying people. Like, it's a hard life out here if you got to run against a warrior and you're a caster. Yo, you're done. That's it. You're going to get roasted. Deep wound damage increased by 10% in non-PvP situations, which is good. And Mortal Strike as well. They're just trying to make Arms Warriors more valuable for PvE, which I understand. Prot Warriors. Execute damage increased by 10%. This does not apply to Condemn as well. So, it's not a big deal for Prot. Who cares? Everything else, man, I'll just let everyone kind of go over. Nothing really in here that screams, hey, you need to check this out. But if it's something that you feel like you need to check, you go ahead and check it out. But the patch notes are on Wildhead, so y'all can make sure to check all that out. PvP, I don't really care too much of PvP, to be honest, because I don't really like the PvP. Like, I do it every now and again, but that's really about it. But y'all can make sure to go ahead and check these out. If you are a PvPer, make sure to come here and check these out as well. But anyways, man, it's just patch notes are cool. Yeah, I mean, the notes that we have, they're okay. I would like to see what they're doing for Mistweaver, because Mistweaver, as you can tell, has got no love. Monks haven't been touched in general, which is good, because Windwalkers are still doing their thing to a degree. Brewmaster's still fine. But Mistweaver isn't getting any rep right now on live. Like, none at all. And I'm playing my Mistweaver now. I'm playing the Fistweaving build. So I'm in the mix doing damage, doing my thing here and there. I really enjoy it. But there must be something going on that they're not viable at all for PvP or PvE. So there has to be something going on with that. Fury Warrior, I would still like to see maybe a little bit of a buff right now for Fury. Bear Druid, I wish they would do something with them. They're so bland. They're just terrible to play. Other than that, everything else feels kind of good. Arcane, I hope Arcane gets some buffs as well, because as fun as Arcane is, it gets no love. It gets no play at all. And his Blood Decay buff was poor. It was just a poor man's attempt to get some playability. No one wants to play Blood Decay because they don't do anything. They're slow. They don't bring anything to your group. Nothing. A Death Grip. AMZ. They don't do anything for your group. Like, if you want to DK so bad, you're gonna play Unholy, you're gonna play Frost. You're not gonna play Blood. So I don't know. But those are the patch notes for 9.1 for the recent update. These were updated yesterday. Hope you guys got a little bit out of this. Yo, let me know down below what changes you would like to see with 9.1 coming soon. TM. Let me know down in the comments below. Make sure also, if you like the video, make sure to go ahead and leave it a like. And make sure to sub to your boy while you're at it as well. We just need 9.1. That's all we need. Because I'm bored. I'm just making content now because I'm just making content now. I do appreciate you guys watching. I hope y'all have a good day. I'll see you guys in the next video.